Hello, hello, hello. Okay, so this is going to be a tutorial about ES6 classes. Right here, I have something simple here. I have a default view. I have a div ID, div tag with the ID of view and has default. And if you look, it has default placed into the center of the document. And at here, I have the old way of doing classes or objects, and I have the new way of doing classes and objects. Let's first look at the old way. So with the old way, all you had to do was create a function, name it whatever. At this moment, I named it dog, and I gave it properties of name, type, and sound. Now, when you create properties, you're supposed to put a this before the name of the property, and then you assign it a value. Like right now with name, I named it Spot. I named the type Poodle, and I named the type Sound. And if you wanted to create a method, or basically it's just a function, all you have to do is also put this dot and the name of the method and then assign it a function. And at this function, basically I'm doing is I'm making the dog speak by having a noise, having an option to create your own noise. You just type in the value of the function and it will assign the sound and it will locate the ID with the element with the ID of view and output the sound. And if you don't type in anything, it will just revert back to the default sound, which is ARF. So if I instantiated by creating a variable and calling it D and putting new dog, I have created an instance of the dog, and it now has all the properties and values of the dog. Now, if I save this, you're probably not going to see anything because there's nothing outputted. There's nothing outputted into the view at the moment. However, if I actually put d.speak, what this should do is it should output the sound arf to the element that has the ID of view, because I didn't put any value inside noise. So since it doesn't have any value inside noise, it will automatically default to sound. So let me save this and show you what the fuck I'm talking about. Maybe I shouldn't have said fuck, but whatever. See, it says arf. Great. It's working. Now, like I said before, you can pass a parameter or pass a value into it, and if it does have a value, it's going to output this instead of the default sound. So you could do wolf. So when I reload it, you should see wolf. And that's how you do it. That's how you do it with the old way of creating objects. What this is called a constructor object. Now, with this new way of doing it, all you have to do is pass class cat and put double curly braces. So you see here, here. Now, I pretty much just did the same thing. I copied the same properties from the dog and put in the cat, just changed up the properties. So instead of having Spot as the name, I have Felix. Instead of having the type as Poodle, I have Persian. And instead of sound, I obviously got meow. So let me just comment this stuff out right here and comment this stuff out right here. Cool. So another thing that's very interesting is these two methods. So this was called a constructor object, and this is basically essentially when the creation of something, when the creation of the objects is happening, all these things will be instantiated into, or I guess inserted into the variable. But with this constructor object, all you have to do is essentially create all the objects or create all the properties in here. You can't create any of these properties outside of the constructor because it wouldn't register. So all the information of the properties have to be inserted into constructor object. However, with methods, instead of putting this.speak, all you got to do is just put the name of the method and then put the function. So this is essentially the same thing as the function that was up there from the original or the older way to create constructor objects. So now let's create a variable of cat, or an object of cat, I'm sorry, and then do this. And when I create it, here's something cool. You're not going to see anything. It's going to go back to default. Well, it should have went back to default. Did I save it? Cool. Went back to default. But however, if you look into the console, as cat has been created, because within the constructor, I put a console.log cat has been created. So once you go into the console, if you don't know how to do that, all you have to do is go hit right click, hit inspect, and it'll open up the console, a small window of information that you can see about the elements, or things that are happening within the document, basically. But essentially it's the same thing. So I created instance. So now C is the cat, is basically the instance of the cat object. So now if I put c.speak, not spake, speak, you see it say meow. So that's pretty much how you do classes.